What's going on? It's time for predictions stage 3 week 1 part 2. Always have to say those like kind of spread apart and a little slowly just so I get them right. Alright, so last 2 days didn't do great. I got the fuel matchup right. Dynasty Valiant one got wrong. Gladiators one got wrong. Philadelphia Uprising got wrong. New York, Florida got right. And then, wow, 2-4. Went 2-4 last 2 days. That is maybe my worst 2-day stretch yet. It's got to at least tie it. Yeah, Seoul ran some janky lineup that got absolutely destroyed. What were the reasons for some of the other ones? The Outlaws just have a way to beat the Spitfire, I guess. This is the third time they've beaten them. The Shock really utilized the Sombra. So yeah, I think, and then the Uprising looked really good, beating the Fusion. So this stage is gonna get, I think this stage is gonna get nuts. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So first matchup, LA Gladiators coming off a loss Wednesday. They're going to be playing the Dallas Fuel coming off a win against the Dragons on Wednesday. So in stage 1 and stage 2, Dallas beat the Gladiators. Dallas is actually, they're 6 and 15, right? 3 of their wins are against the Dragons, 2 of them are against the Gladiators, and they have 1 against the Mayhem. So they seem to have the Gladiators number this season. They did play the Gladiators like when they were a lot weaker in stage 1, and then they played them the first week that they had Fissure in. So I think the Gladiators are a lot better than they were the last time these teams played against each other. But I think the Fuel are also better. So this is a matchup that, as a Gladiator fan, makes me really nervous. I'm like, man, we should really get our revenge now. This should be like the time. We should definitely get this win. I think we're definitely a better team overall. But you never know. I mean, they beat us twice, so Effect was really having a good day on Wednesday, so that's also scary. Whenever a guy like that really just gets ahead of steam. So we're pretty much going to be having Asher. Mostly we'll be contesting him on Tracer. Maybe we'll see a little bit of Soak Thread on Tracer again, like we saw last week or 2 days ago. So, I don't know. We'll see. Gladiators are going to be attacking first. They're the away team. They're playing on Volskaya, Blizzard World, Nepal, and then Route 66. So, for the Gladiators, I think Nepal is a pretty easy win for them. One of their best maps in the game. They should take that without much trouble. Neither of the teams have played on Blizzard World yet, so that's kind of a toss-up. I think the Gladiators have the advantage there just because they've been a little more effective in running some different comps, so maybe they'll come out with some like just creative composition, and that'll work well for them. But I think that map could go either way. Game 1's on Volskaya. The Gladiators looked good. They looked good on Volskaya last week, or yeah, this week they ran Soak Thread and Asher on their DPS. Soak Thread, they're newly acquired. I don't even know what to call him, like in terms of DPS. Like, he plays some hit scan and some projectile, so it's like, because he's kind of a Genji Pharah main, but we used him more on like a bit of Soldier and then Tracer. So yeah, we got him from the Valiant, and I thought he played very well. He did a good job in his first game with us. So it'll be interesting to see if we run with that same thing. I have a feeling, because the Gladiators, and we like to kind of stick with the comp once we like it, I think it will be the same. We'll have Silk Thread and Asher out there, give Asher a chance to get on Widow again, and then have Silk Thread on the Tracer. So we shall see. Fuel ran Sombra. They ran AKM on the Sombra. I know Rascal was stuck in Korea. I don't know if he's still there. It was 2 days ago that he was still there, so I kind of have a feeling he's not back yet. Maybe he is, I don't know. I think if he's not back, that gives the Gladiators a little bit more of an advantage. But just much as AKM has denied it, he is a lot less versatile than Rascal is. I mean, he's got him beat on Soldier, but that's the only hero he's better than him at. So we shall see. Both these teams just won on Volskaya. Should be close. I'm a little nervous because Dallas will probably be running the Sombra and we won't be. So yeah, we'll see. I think, and then on map 4, I think that one's going to be very close. Probably favors the Fuel a little bit on Route 66, but I think the Gladiators, because of the map pool and because they are in my eyes just a superior team, I think they'll take it 3-1. They really need to win this game. You can't start the stage 0-2. If you do, you're already in huge trouble for the playoffs. You got to make a huge run. Plus, you'll be back to 2 games under 500. It's like all your progress that you made in stage 2 will be kind of gone. So this one should be and could be close, but I really think the Gladiators, they got to get this one. You've got to beat the Fuel this time. You can't drop all 3 of your matches to them. So moving on to the second matchup, LA Valiant coming off a big 4-0 win against the Dynasty, even though the Dynasty really handicapped themselves in that matchup. I don't know what they were thinking. Still, it was a 4-0 for them. They looked very good. They had Space, their new off-tank, come in, and he was very good. He had, I think he was on Temple of Anubis. He did not die once. He went 24-0. They're facing off against the Dragons. They're playing on Temple of Anubis, Blizzard World, Ilios, and then Junkertown. So I thought the Dragons looked better. They pretty much had pretty much all of their new players in. The only original player on the roster that they had in there was Altering was playing support for a good amount of it. But they have Sky, who is their new Zenyatta player. They have Kaguri, their new off tank. They have Fearless playing the main tank. They have Otto on the other DPS. I'm trying to think of the other one. Their second DPS. I believe their second DPS might be new as well. But anyway, they look better. Still didn't look great. I think if Valiant just plays their game here, they should have no real problems. Valiant are going to take game 1 easily. Temple of Anubis is one of their best maps in the game. I think that they'll have absolutely no problem mopping up over there. Blizzard World, I think it's about the same thing. That one, either that one or Ilios will probably be the closest one. Game 1 and 4, Junkertown and Temple, though, easy Valiant wins. Nothing to say about those. I think the other 2 might be closer. Maybe the Dragons will take one of the maps. I personally don't think they will. I think this is a 4-0, but we'll see. Maybe the Dragons will put up a good fight on a couple of those maps. But yeah, Valiant getting off to an early 2-0 start in this stage. Looks like my prediction about them dropping a bit, maybe totally off. I'm going to be honest, I totally forgot Space was coming in. If I had known Space was coming in, I might have had different thoughts on them. Because I was just like, who's going to play the off-tank? But Space is really freaking good, so we shall see. Moving on to match number 3, we got Seoul Dynasty, San Fran Shock. So, on paper, you kind of look at this one, you go, oh, easy win for Seoul. I don't know. Seoul lost their first matchup. Like I said, they played like 3 of their regular starters for some reason, and that group of 6 did not work well at all. Munchkin looked completely lost on the Sombra, and Fleta looked completely lost on Tracer. I don't know why those 2 switched roles. I think that Dynasty's coaching is a real big question mark, and I think that if things continue to kind of go south in Stage 3, they definitely need to look at replacing him, whoever their coach and main strategist may be, because, I mean, I'd chalk at least 4 or 5 of their losses, if not like all of them. I'd say pretty much all of their losses, except for their ones to the Excelsior, and then one of them to the Spitfire, are just the lineups. They just put out like all the backups. And it's like, I get that you're trying to like give everybody playing time, but it just didn't work out at all. It was terrible. They, especially on Wednesday against the Valiant, they looked horrible. They just looked horrible. They just flat out. So, I don't know. The Shock, I think this is going to be their best stage yet, easily. The new Sombra type meta works very well for them, because now they have Dante, one of the best Sombras in the world, being able to just run around as Sombra and do what he wants. And they also have Sinatra, one of the best tracers in the world. He showed it last week. Especially on Numbani, he was the reason the Shock won that game. If he doesn't pop off like he did, and granted Dante did too, but if they don't go off, that's an easy win for the Gladiators. Like, that was two people carrying the team on that map in particular. So yeah, to beat a team like the Gladiators right away, that's really strong for the Shock. I'd say that the advantage Soul has here, though, Shock haven't played any of these maps this stage yet. Or did they play? They did play Ilios. They played Ilios, but they haven't played Temple of Anubis yet. They weren't great on in stage 1. They haven't played Blizzard World yet, and they haven't played Junkertown this stage yet. So we'll see. I don't know. I kind of they did play against the Gladiators on Junkertown, and they did win. It was pretty close. They won 3-2, and the Gladiators got pretty close to capping third point to send it into like your overtime, but they didn't quite pull it off. And also the Shock have played the Dynasty very well this season. I'm really tempted to go with the Shock here, but because the Dynasty played so badly last time, and because like that lineup was such a mess, I feel like they're just gonna run their regular 6, and then the regular 6 are just gonna really come out strong, and they're gonna take care of business. But if I'm gonna say they win it 3-1, but if the Dynasty lose this matchup, I think panic lights might maybe starting to go off in their camp. So yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one to watch for sure. Match number 1 of Saturday. It's the Florida Mayhem taking on the Philadelphia Fusion. The yellow team versus the orange team. They're on Volskaya, Numbani, Ilios, and then Route 66. So, Mayhem, they kind of got crushed. They lost 4-0 to the Excelsior, but it is the Excelsior. The Fusion had a very close game against the Uprising, but they ended up losing 3-2. I think not having EQO hurts them, and we can see that. For some reason, they're just not. When Shadowburn's in there, they're just not as good. Like, Shadowburn played both of the control maps, and they lost both of them. And then they had Snillo, their pretty much one-trick tracer, and Carpe, who's their tracer slash soldier slash McCree slash Widow. They had him playing, they had those two playing on the other 3, and they took 2 of 3 of those. So I think this one could get interesting because EQO's not in there, because Philadelphia doesn't have as much versatility as they would like. Mayhem have looked pretty solid on Volskaya. I actually think that one's going to be a tie. I'm predicting a tie on this one. And then going into Numbani, again, it could get interesting. Maybe Fusion run Shadowburn in that one. It's a pretty good map for Pharah as well as Genji, so we'll see. We'll see what they do with that. I think Philly will probably take game 2. And then even though Ilios has been kind of weak for them, it hasn't been good for Florida either. I think Fusion should take that one. And then Route 66 should favor them because Tracer Widow works really well there. I think this one's probably a 3-0. But if Florida can take game 1, who knows? I mean, there aren't a lot of great Widow maps after. Like, there's the one part of it on Ilios, and then Numbani's very good. But honestly, Route 66 is good for Widow. But honestly, I don't love Widowmaker on Numbani. You don't see it played a lot there. A lot of times you see Soldier in particular on like first point defense, and then maybe you go more like dive oriented after that. Or a lot of times defenders like to go to McCree, depending on what the situation is. But I don't know. I think this one could get very interesting. I'm gonna say Fusion win it 3-0 though. Next matchup. This one I'm excited for. Houston Outlaws taking on the Uprising. A couple of 13-8 teams duking it out here. So, they're playing on Temple of Anubis, Numbani, Nepal, and then Junkertown. Both these teams look very good. They both won very close 3-2 games over very good teams. The Uprising beat the Fusion, the Outlaws beat the Spitfire. So they're both going to be feeling great about those wins coming into this game. I have this thing with Boston. I just always tend to pick against them. Because I'm just like, nah, this other team, they have better, their talent is better, and I think that they're just gonna, they have this like slight edge on them. But every time I pick against them, they show me, hey Glenn, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, I mean, Striker, I don't know. I'm not as in love with Striker as a lot of people are. I think his Tracer is pretty just okay. I think that the reason his Tracer looks really good sometimes is because of Gamsu, their main tank, and because of Dreamcasper. When Dreamcasper is popping off, this Uprising team is extremely scary. But Casper, he's been a little inconsistent. He, like, the beginning of Stage 2 was a bit rough for him, especially when they didn't have Gamsu. But when they're at full strength, man, they can tussle with anyone. They really can. So this might be the matchup that I have the hardest time picking. Outlaws didn't look great on Anubis. I think that Uprising will probably take that one, but it's not Volskaya. Uprising look really good on Volskaya. On other 2CP, they're not nearly as good. So if the Outlaws can improve from yesterday on Temple of Anubis, maybe they take that one. I think if Houston wins game 1, then they're going to win the series. But I think Uprising will take it. And then map 2 goes to Outlaws for me. I like them a lot on that map. Uprising will take game 3. Outlaws will even it up in 4. And then I think Outlaws win this one 3-2. Or, sorry, not Outlaws. I think Uprising win this one 3-2. They just look very good on control. And I think for teams that are good on control maps, they have such an edge. Because all the tiebreakers are on control maps, I think that's an advantage for them. And you saw them, Outlaws I keep saying Outlaws, Uprising have won a lot of game 5s. The Outlaws have a good amount of them too, but I think the Uprising have the most 3-2 victories in the league. I'm not positive about that, but it just seems like they win a lot. They either win 4-0 or they win 3-2. There's pretty much no in between. Like, they beat the Fusion 3-2. In Stage 1, they beat the Excelsior 3-2. They beat in the Valiant 3-2. They beat the Gladiators 3-2 last stage. So I just feel like they have a lot of those. But anyway, yeah, I think this one's a very close matchup. Two great teams. But Uprising, I think they take it 3-2, and that might put them in like 4th, 5th range. They might be moving up. They are the ultimate team this season of just proving people wrong. So, then, capping off week number 1 of Stage 3, we got the big one, Spitfire, Excelsior. A lot of people wanted this matchup to be the one for Stage 2 finals, but credit to Philly, they came out and they beat Spitfire. So, and then the Spitfire, they just lost to Houston again. They've fallen to 15-6. New York is 19-2. They're starting to separate from everybody else, which is a little scary. I don't want one team to be so dominant. So I think the Spitfire are going to win this one. Maybe it's just because I want them to win for the league. I think it'll be a lot better for the league if Spitfire win this one. They're on Temple of Anubis, which Spitfire look very good on. I think they're going to take that map. Stage number 2 is Blizzard Worlds, which Excelsior I don't think have played on. Spitfire didn't look quite as good on that one. I think that one could very well go to Excelsior. Excelsior take game 3, and then Spitfire come back and win the last 2. 3-2 victory. I think either way this one's going to be 3-2. I think whenever you're picking with these two teams, it's like just roll a die and pick one of them. Evens are Spitfire, odds are Excelsior, because they're very close and they're both playing at the top of their game. So just because of how they're in the standings right now, and because the Spitfire have already lost this stage, I think they're just gonna have that little extra bit of fire, and they're gonna take down the Excelsior 3-2. But yeah, that one, that should be an amazing game to watch, however it turns out. And yeah, that is Friday and Saturday. I think this video is a little shorter, which is good. I try to condense them a little bit. keep the ramblings down. So yeah, this should be there's a lot of great matchups these 2 days. I think we're going to see a lot of good Overwatch here. Going to be very interesting. I'm still watching that Sombra play. We shall see. Hopefully these are all fun to watch because they really should be. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video for week 2.